Hi, everyone. Welcome to the CSOC multi-sponsor careers pitch event. Today we have 5 sponsors who are eager to give you their spiel on why their company is so great, why you should apply for their company. And we've got some really fantastic, I guess, representatives from each of them to tell us all about their company as well. So the format of this event is to allow them to pitch, but the majority of the session is going to be by questions from you. So there was a Slido link sent out to all of you students. So make sure you're active on that. Make sure you're asking questions. Make sure you're upvoting questions as well, so that we know from you what the burning questions are, where we spend our time talking about, basically. So with that in mind, I might kick off with our first sponsor to speak, if that's okay with you, Adam, from Arista Networks.
Hey, can you see the slides fine?
Yep.
Okay, so Arista Networks, who are we? Well, we're a provider of complete network solutions, and we're the leader in data center and cloud provisioning for networks. So Microsoft, Facebook are 2 of our biggest customers, and their full data centers run on our switches and routers. What do? We sell hardware, software, and services, support mainly. We're basically a software-focused company, though. So, the real value that our hardware brings is in the software support around it, both in our EOS operating system and CloudVision, which is our orchestration in the cloud-based solution. Who are our customers? Basically anyone with a network. As I mentioned, sort of data center, cloud providers are a big one. Service providers and telcos are another market that we're in. Enterprise, so any campuses, whether they be universities, medical centers, businesses, they all have networks. They might have voice over IP phones. They'll have access points. All that needs to be sort of linked together, and that's where we come in. We also are a major provider for financial sector, especially with sort of low latency products. So there's just some examples of the variety of products that we provide. Our operating system, EOS, we do very big backbone switches and routers. We do top of rack switches, access points, and as I mentioned, cloud-based orchestration of all those switches in your network. What do we do in Sydney? Well, we have a bit of a mixed team. We do hardware development, FPGA-based design, so that's sort of programmable logic to provide high performance programmable solutions. And we do a lot of systems development. So if you're in operating systems, if you're in the networks, that's our bread and butter, essentially. How do we do it? Well, one of the sort of key philosophies in Arista is to do the right thing. It's the guiding principle in everything that we do. We have a big focus on quality, and this is what sets us apart from our competitors and why our customers, keep coming back for more. That quality is our defining experience. In terms of employee experience, we're basically, have a big focus on ownership and responsibility of the individual engineers, but within a framework of support through mentorship. And we're all one big team. So the success of each person is sort of key to the success of the overall team. And if somebody's sort of struggling with something, we try to provide an environment where we can get past and get their deliverables successful. Anyway, that's my pitch.
Well, thank you very much, Adam. We will have Steve from Dolby presenting next. Just so you know, I forgot to say this earlier. Adam did study at the University of New South Wales. He is an alumni. Basically, he's now a software engineering manager at Arista Networks, focusing on Arista's Linux-based operating system, EOS, and making sure it runs smoothly on their ultra low latency network. Okay, so now basically we'll have Steve. He is the head of recruitment for Dolby laboratories in Australia. And he is a firm believer in the possibilities of career reinvention, finding your passion and doing what you love. So take it away, Steve.
Thank you. So I'm here today to talk to you about Dolby. A lot of people know the name Dolby, but what do we actually do? At Dolby, we're all about understanding the senses. Our senses are amazing pieces of technology evolved over millions of years. And so what we want to do at Dolby is to really fundamentally understand how our brain perceives and processes those senses, and then use that understanding to create and enable spectacular experiences for us as consumers, you know, watching movies, looking at TV, listening to music, having great communications experiences. So we do it in two ways. So we've got teams of scientists that are very focused on understanding the science of perception. So neuroscientists and psychoacoustics experts to understand how vision works, how hearing works, and most importantly, how our brain perceives and processes all of that information. And that allows us to come up with some great breakthroughs. But the other part of it is very much focused around engineering innovation. So we combine that research with world-class Dolby engineers to actually build the technology and tools that we and our partners can use to take full advantage of that science. So our engineers work in really diverse areas, from audio and video media framework development, signal processing, machine learning, deep learning, AI, cloud services, mobile app development. It's very, very, very broad, the areas that we work in, but all very much with entertainment and communications focus. So as you'd expect from that, we're very broadly plugged into the entertainment ecosystem. So everywhere where you're consuming media, Dolby's generally involved, and that's across content creation, mastering, encoding, transport, decoding, and playback wherever you are consuming that media, whether it's in the cinema, at home, or on the go. We've got four main businesses that are the pillars of Dolby. Dolby Atmos, which is our surround sound experience. Dolby Vision, which is our HDR video solution, which is in the TV space. And we've also brought that technology into the cinema space and Dolby Cinema. And then we've got Dolby Voice, which is our next generation high quality audio voice communications experience, which is obviously really important in today's market when we're doing a lot more of these type of events rather than in-person events as well. So we can make improvements of quality there as well. And our newest business is Dolby.io, which is our API business. So instead of using licensing technology and putting our technology onto devices, we're now enabling developers to be able to grab pieces of Dolby technology and plug it in as an API and create and enable spectacular experiences in new and exciting ways. So that's me.
Fantastic. Thanks for presenting, Steve. Next, we're going to have SIG. We have Kim and Nat from Campus Recruiting. They look after the campus recruiting efforts for SIG in Sydney, and they love to share alternative career pathways with STEM students, and they love questions as well, so don't forget to send them through, guys.
Hey guys, so we decided not to use our presentation today. We're just going to talk at you. That's all right. So a lot of people have heard of SIG, not really know what we do. So we're a trading firm, and we love hiring students from all STEM backgrounds, but we particularly like computer science, software engineering students, not because we want you to join our tech team, but you make really good traders because you kind of learn all the skill sets and decision-making skills and like problem-solving skills, and that make really good traders. So we kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about alternative career pathways for your kind of degrees. So we're really keen to answer any questions that you might have about what we do and what trading actually is, because we didn't know when we started working here, right? Yeah. Cool. So yeah, that's us.
Thank you very much, Kim and Nat. I think Nat's kind of hidden away in the background, but she's there. What I'm going to do is pass on to Sam from Atlassian next. So Sam has been at Atlassian for 1.5 years and is currently on the observability team working on cloud infrastructure. Take it away, Sam.
Hello. So I will be giving you an intro to Atlassian and why you might like to join. So the driving mission behind everything that we do is to unleash the potential of every team. Essentially, that's helping other teams work better together. And we do this through some of our products. So our most popular or well-known product is Jira Software. And this tool helps developers plan and track work, essentially. Some of our other bigger products are Confluence, which is a massive wiki, Trello, which is a visual way to plan and organize projects, and Bitbucket, which is a Git repository. And these products are used by a whole range of customers. As of last month, we have around 200,000 customers around the world. And some of our most well-known customers are Tesla, SpaceX, and NASA. So you might be asking, why would you want to work at Atlassian? Some of our values are very important, and they guide essentially everything that we do, from why we create our products and who we hire. So these feature quite prominently in our interviews and also in our day-to-day work. Some other perks are that we do Ship It, which is a 24-hour hackathon every quarter. And at the end of the hackathon, you demo what you've built to the rest of the company, and then there's one winner company-wide. We also have the Atlassian Foundation, which is company-wide volunteering. So you're given a bunch of days paid days where you can go and volunteer to help out wherever you want. And we're also part of the Pledge 1%. So we contribute 1% of annual profits, 1% of employee time and equity to the foundation. So if you're interested, you can head over to atlassian.com/students to apply.
Thank you, Sam. Up next, we have Anda from Cochlear. Anda manages mobile development at Cochlear and is passionate about building apps that transform people's lives. So take it away, Anda.
Hi. So I'm hoping a lot of you may have already heard about Cochlear. So we are an Australian success story where a global leader in building hearing implants and have quite a large presence around the world, but pretty much all of our research and development happens out of Sydney. Now, a lot of you, when you look at Cochlear, will see something like the sound processor. And there's a lot of incredibly interesting work that goes on in terms of building firmware, building digital sound processor development, and so on. But there's also a huge amount of software, sort of other forms of software. So mobile development that goes on. There's a huge amount of cloud development, front-end development. And there's an incredible focus on producing sort of consumer-grade software that really transforms people's lives. And that's sort of an amazing thing that happens at Cochlear is we are so close to the customer. We get to interact with the customer. Just from the time that I've been there, I have had some amazing experiences with sort of initial launches of software that we've done. I remember when we were first launching the Android app for the Nucleus 7 processor, and I got to be part of clinical experience for that. And I remember meeting one of the users who told a story about how they'd recently started a company. And they'd always wanted to do that, but they'd always been kind of scared that they'd be on the phone too much. And it wasn't until recently phone streaming came in and they could stream their phone calls on directly to the sound processor that they had the confidence to do that. So it's not just the cochlear implant and the sound processors that transform people's lives. It's everything that we do within Cochlear. There are so many things that we work on that really change and enable things to do things that people to do things that they otherwise wouldn't be able to do. So it's a really inspirational place to work. And I've really enjoyed my time at Cochlear.
Well, thanks for that presentation, Anda. So basically, to all the students who are watching this from home or on campus, I don't know, that concludes the pitch section of today's event. But now we're going to transition into asking all the wonderful questions that you've been sending us and upvoting on Slido. So Rani, what's the first question that we should be posing?
Yeah, so the most popular question is, how can students apply for internships, make up for a lack of work experience if this is the first internship? And this student is particularly interested in the answers from Dolby and Atlassian. So Steve, if I might ask you to answer this question first.
Sure, no problem. In terms of work experience as an intern, I mean, I don't think there's a real expectation from industry, certainly not at Dolby. I can speak for our company anyway, that you need to bring prior work experience coming into an internship. I think the idea is that's the place where you get your work experience. So I wouldn't see that as being a detriment. But if you're asking about ways that maybe people can stand out, highlight some stuff that you've done. Either project work, if you've worked on a group project building something, or if you've worked on something in your spare time. So we've had a lot of people come to us that maybe have gone and built an app in their spare time, or have worked on a robot or something like that. And really it's about showcasing the fact that you love technology and you've gone and actually tried something, because that's how you learn ultimately. And even if it's learning in by it not working, you learn a lot more by your failures sometimes than your successes, I think, as well. But also it just shows industry that you want to put this, what you're learning in industry, into practice.
Awesome, thanks Steve. I think that's really applicable to everyone here. Sam, would you be able to add your insight onto this as well? Like, do you agree with what Steve said? Your own thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everything that Steve said is correct. We also look for that Atlassian. And one thing, though, is that being involved in societies also can benefit a lot. So, for example, at UNSW, joining CSESOC or going to the events, or even being part of the committees like the projects, and showing that in your resume and showing how you can work with teams and having a portfolio. I think all of those definitely add to your resume and help you to stand out among all the other applicants.
Thanks, Sam. I might ask the next question, Rani. So the next most popular question is for actually all the sponsors here today. And that question is, what are the things that you look for graduate employees, the things that make them stand out, besides, of course, the academics. And I will put a question mark on the academics part, but that's my personal bias. So I might ask maybe Kim and Anda to answer first.
Yeah. So we're a bit unusual. So we get academics is important to us, but we also like people that are really passionate about games, like gaming, gaminess, which is our made up SIG word. So we use a lot of strategy and game theory in our day-to-day business. So whether it's something like League of Legends or poker or chess, Catan, we love to see all that sort of stuff on your resume. We also really like to see what your interests are on your CV or resume, because we are kind of looking to see how you will stand out and how you'd fit into our culture. And if you're interested in like sports, for example, or maybe you're interested in music, and then we can have a conversation with you.
So, any other sponsors after Anda as well? Feel free to jump in after he answers.
Cool. So, I mean, for me, the most important thing is passion. So when we're looking for summer students, we're looking for people who are going to be the next generation of leaders. And so we're looking for definitely so much more than just technical aptitude. For me, one of the most important parts of the hiring process is the interview process, where I get to kind of meet potential candidates and talk to them. And it really does come across when people care about what they do. They find opportunities to learn more about it and to experience things, and that comes across. So make sure you get out there be part of things like what we're doing today, be part of communities, and just really enjoy what you do.
Okay, do we have any other sponsor takers for this question?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say communication skills and demonstrating communication skills. Like, I mean, that starts with your CV and how you present yourself. Some of the other sponsors have mentioned, like showing your interests, your passion in the area that the employer is, in. That's kind of what we're looking for. And then when you're in the interviews, your communication, how you interact with the interviewee. Like, obviously, we interview for technical skill, and we can see that in academic background and in how you do in coding exercise and things like that. But the key is how you interact with the interviewer and the screener. Like, are you engaging with them? Can you talk about what your experiences are? Can you share your war stories about not only your successes but your failures? Because some of the most interesting stories are about like how you've tried something and failed, and then what your takeaways from that are, and how you apply that to your next challenges.
Okay, thank you. So if we don't have anyone else, we might ask the next question. Rani, do you have the contender?
Yeah, so not the top question, but the second top. Someone has asked, how different is the work that you guys do in your day-to-day compared to what we learn at university? I think this is always an interesting one, and I see Anders smiling, so I might direct the question his way first.
So uni is important. You don't learn at uni, you learn how to learn for something like software engineering. So when I was at uni, mobile development wasn't a thing. My entire kind of industry within software didn't exist. People who aren't willing to sort of continually learn throughout their careers probably should be thinking about another place to be. But at the same time, make the most of your time at uni and experience lots of different things and challenge yourself, because again, that's what's going to happen when you get out into the workforce, is you will be challenged and you will need to pick up new skills. But also, I mean, most places that you're at, you will have a support network around you. And I mean, at Cochlear, there is a really good program where you're not just doing the initial sort of internship. As a graduate, you get to kind of go around to different parts of the company and potentially not just learn, say, maybe you want to be doing app development. You're not just going to learn about maybe some firmware development and things like that, but you might spend some time in marketing or in product development in something totally different and get some really diverse experiences. So yeah, lots of opportunities to really kind of expand your horizons and learn different things.
Are we okay just to jump in, Cece?
Yeah, of course.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of following on from that for us. So a lot of our roles require kind of the basic understanding of maths and probability-based maths. So that's our kind of standard. But then once you get here, we're going to take what you've learned in those modules, maybe it's like statistics modules or kind of maths modules that you've done at uni, and we're going to teach you what you can do with it as a trader within the business. So we're going to kind of turn you into something else with that basic knowledge, and that will be different from what you learned at uni, but it's kind of carrying forward your basic understanding.
So like Anders said, university is all about, learning how to learn, and then we take that skill set and then we teach you we teach you how to think, to be decision makers. And I think a really great example of this is our recent interns. Actually, who's a computer science intern, he actually came from UCED, sorry guys, but they all have projects to work on, our interns, and he was solving a problem they were given, and he went to his buddy and his mentor and he said, so I'm working on my project, I could go down path A or could go down path B, but I don't know what is the correct answer, like, can you tell me which is correct? And the guys, because he said he approached it like an academic project, like you would at university. Then apparently his team desk lead then was overhearing, and this is like, yeah, cool, we don't know the answer either. That's why we asked you to work on the project, but let's test both and see how it works. And I think that's really
I think that's a really like great way to kind of demonstrate the difference between academia. Academia, there's going to be right and wrong answers, but in the real world, you're going to be solving those problems. And like all the graduate programs here, will help you become those kind of people.
Awesome. Thank you, Kim and Anda. Does anyone else have anything to add? Oh, Steve.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Do you want to go first, Finbar?
Sure. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm a new grad at Arista this year. I was at uni last year. And so I think one of the big things for me that I noticed is writing code that's going to exist for a long time. So with your assignments, you kind of just like get it across the line, submit it, and never look at it or worry about it again. But when you're writing code in a big organization with a large code base, that code's going to stick around, and you need to write code that can be well understood and that can stick around for a while and then be modified in the future. And so part of that is to take the time to kind of scope out a solution, discuss that solution with other people, maybe push back on deadlines, and take the time to really do it right so that it is there and it's easy to use in the future. And then I'd say also just in terms of the type of execution of kind of the stuff that you learn. So you learn at uni, like as a lot of other people have been saying, you learn how to learn, and the application and the execution of that is usually in fairly small scopes of assignments. And so here it's about like at a company after uni, it's about learning how to kind of execute in the context of this much larger code base and this like bigger context, and executing on a small part of that and making sure it fits in.
Yeah, I mean, scale is important, right? And there's something that you don't really hit at university, like maybe you do small group projects, but typically maybe you work on a code base that already exists or extend an open source project or a university project, but you really need to be able to contribute to much larger code bases to enable larger teams to be productive. So, one thing we look for is the type of candidate who's going to be a multiplier, who's going to, help multiply the output of the rest of the team. So, that's kind of, I think, one of the most important differences. Even if you're at a small startup, like scale becomes an issue very quickly. So, that I'd say would be a very defining feature of industry versus university.
Yeah, I'd certainly echo that as well. I mean, at university, a lot of the projects that you get to do tend to be quite contained with a very obvious outcome. And in industry, it's not always like that. Certainly at Dolby, we tend to work on problems where, fuzzy problems where there isn't an obvious outcome and you have to think around the problem as well. So that's a really important difference between maybe what you've got that's quite driven at university to a very specific outcome, whereas in industry, it can be, there are many potential solutions and many different routes you can take. So understanding the trade-offs that you have to make there and where it fits in is really important, I think, in industry. I think the other thing that's worth mentioning around that is getting a real sense of working around methodologies like Agile and Scrum and how that works in industry versus maybe how you might work in a project at university as well. If you get used to that idea of having 2-week sprints and stand-ups and stories and having that way of working, that's very outcome driven as well, and also allows you to be able to change direction quite quickly, as Agile would suggest. I think that's a really important differentiator.
Thanks for that, Steve. Is there anyone else who wanted to add one more thought on this question before we ask the next one?
Yeah, I could add something. At uni, I think that a lot of the time you are told exactly what to do, which kind of echoes what everyone else has been saying. It's fairly one directional. You're giving a spec and you just do it, and that's it. But in industry, a lot of the time, the problem, you have to come up with your own solution, and there's no real right or wrong answer. So you have to be able to justify what you're doing and have that be able to contribute to the team.
Cool. Okay. Well, I might pose the next question then to each of the sponsors. This question can be a bit spicy. The question is, what is the best and worst thing about working at your company? And since I guess Sam is there, I might just put him on the spot and throw him under the bus.
I suppose this is quite personal for each person working in every different company. The one thing I do like at Atlassian is Ship It, where we get to work, as I mentioned in the pitch earlier, you get to work on your own project and once a quarter over 24 hours, and then you get to present it to the rest of the company. And at the end, there's one project that's determined as the winner company-wide. So that's something that's quite fun to do once a quarter that I enjoy quite a lot. That's fairly unique to Atlassian as well. In terms of the worst thing, I don't know. I might have to come back to me on that one.
Okay, I did make you go first unexpectedly, so I'll let it slide for now. I think Steve is smiling a lot, so
I always smile a lot, so yeah, that's fine. No, in terms of what I personally think is best about working for Dolby, I think it's the genuine passion everybody has about their day-to-day job. I think that's very inspirational, certainly for me. You know, there's lots of different companies you could work for, and for me, it's loving the domain area that we work in. One of the reasons I work for Dolby is because I love movies, and I love working for a company that makes my experience as somebody who loves movies better. So that I love that about it. But beyond that, I think it's just the genuine passion that people have for trying to push the boundaries of what we can do in that space as well, and that really is inspirational. In terms of the worst thing about working for Dolby, that's a tough one. If you had to push me on something, I would say is that with passion comes strong opinions about things as well. So I've had many heated discussions about things like movies, or a lot of subjective things that it makes for interest. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily a bad thing, but it certainly makes it an interesting environment, I think.
Okay. Diplomatically answered. I think I'll pass on to Kim next.
So I, like Steve, work with some really awesome people. I work with interesting people, but they're also interested, and I really they're just passionate about all sorts of things. I literally learn something new every day, and I have the most random conversations. I learned when I worked here, when I first started working here, that I actually had a bit of a thing for planes, and I knew quite a lot about plane models and engine sizes that I didn't really know that I knew until I worked here and just started talking to people that also share some weird passions. And the thing I don't like about SIG, and I'm actually quite very strongly opinionated about my hatred for this one thing, is that every day we get lunch provided for us. And everybody at SIG loves broccoli, so we have a lot of broccoli, and I really hate broccoli.
Okay. Anti-broccoli.
I really I know we're sort of laughing, but seriously, that is the thing. That's the only thing about my job I don't like, is that I'm always confronted with broccoli.
I know there's someone in the chat who's also +1ing that anti-broccoli sentiment. So you got people who can definitely relate. Okay, well, does anyone else want to answer this question? Maybe Arista, have a go.
Yeah, I'll start with the worst and let Finbar probably give what he thinks is the best. But it's more a challenge than the worst aspect. But because we are an international development team, time zones are kind of one of the things that we struggle with a lot, because we work quite closely with people in both the US and in Dublin, in Europe, and being across all those time zones just means that you either are up all hours, or you're not able to communicate as readily as you'd like to with some of your team. So that's kind of a big challenge. Just on my point of view, from one of the best things is the fact that we work on the full sausage, if you like. Like, we make the hardware. We have FPGA design engineers who are doing programmable logic. It's all very cool and fun to talk to them about what they're working on. especially, I have an interest in computer architecture, so that's really fulfilling. And, obviously we do a lot of software as well. So kind of being able to make the full product that you then deliver to your customers, and, contribute to their full experience and success is very key. But I think Finbar also had something he wanted to jump in on.
Yeah. So I think just in terms of the software development culture at Arista, I think it was like the biggest thing for me in terms of deciding to come back. I interned here and decided to come back as well, is the focus on software quality. And I thought when I was applying for the internship and when I was seeing the kind of promotional materials and stuff, that this is something that probably every company kind of pays some kind of lip service to. But I have come to see that really is a thing. Like the biggest, one of the biggest things that Arista benefits from is being known to have really quality software, really reliable software. And so getting the time and knowing that that's an engineering focus from the top down, to take the time to do something right and to make it work, rather than being pushed to get something out in a deadline that doesn't work, is something that's really valuable for me. And I think that that's really important. And I really like that about Arista. And then just in terms of the kind of people, I think that help is like really forthcoming at Arista. And, anytime you kind of throw a question out into the void of like this big pool that we can go and ask questions, you get answers pretty much straight away from people who know what they're talking about and can help you walk through it. Or even if they don't, they're willing to spend some time with you to get you understanding what's happening. And I just really enjoy spending time with the people that I work with. Everyone's really chill and fun to hang out with. So there's a lot of positives there for me. I enjoy my time here.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for answering that one. I've just noticed that there's only 15 minutes left of this event, and we would love to get through as many of the questions as we can for our students. So we might.
Did Andrew want to answer that question as well, or are we going to transition straight to the next thing? And
I'll quickly go through. I mean, I sort of mentioned in the initial pitch, at Cochlear, for me, the massive positive is the people side. So the fact that we are making a product that impacts people's lives, and that kind of goes two ways. It's not just the focus on the customer and how close we are and the opportunities we get to kind of interact and test our products with the customer, but it's also working with a whole lot of people who are also passionate about that. And so we are all working together to deliver amazing products for people that really impact what they do day to day. In terms of challenges at Cochlear, I mean, because we are developing medical devices, there is a lot more regulatory rigor than I guess a lot of other companies when it comes to developing software. I guess one advantage Cochlear has is a lot of experience dealing with that. So we have a really good regulatory team that supports us through that. And we have a good reputation with regulators, which helps us kind of push new products and change the way that we're doing things and sort of get products approved that really haven't, no other company has really released in the past. But it is a challenge, but I can totally understand keeping people safe is a very important thing. So although it's challenging, it is important.
thank you so much. And sorry for interrupting you earlier, Rani. I'll hand it back to you.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Anda, for your opinion on that as well. So since there is about only 10 minutes left of that, we'd like to go through a lightning round of the questions left. So having one of you guys answer one of the questions each. Yeah, so in this case, shout if you'd like to answer the question. Otherwise, I will assign it to someone. All right, so the most upvoted question was, what's a common pitfall that students fall into, which leads to people not getting interviews? Some examples they gave were poor resume formatting, not highlighting certain traits. Would anyone like to jump on this one?
I can take that. So in terms of people not getting interviews, I think resume formatting is a really simple one that you can do. There's lots of templates online. The mantra here is just keep it clean and easy to read. Don't put any crazy fonts or graphics into it. Just keep it clean and easy to read. Make sure you highlight any extracurricular activities, so societies, volunteering, any projects you've done on the side. Would probably be the main things that I would highlight. The other thing I'd suggest would be a cover letter, which is a place to sell yourself. And I know at Dolby, we certainly read the cover letters as well. So it's another chance for you to maybe talk a little bit about yourself and why you're a fit for the role when you don't necessarily have a lot on your resume in terms of experience.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. Moving right on for the next question. A student asks, what can I do to get further in the application process at your company? Oh, and yeah, thanks, Adam. If you guys have stuff to add, feel free to add it in chat as well. Would anyone like to hop on to that one?
Sure, I can do a quick answer as it applied to me, at least. I think that people are hesitant to list their university projects as like projects that you talk about on your resume. So, you know, if you've done OS, if you've done AOS, if you've done like distributed systems, those kind of subjects that, you know, is quite useful for a Arista. Talk about those projects on your resume, highlight them on your resume, and make sure that you are getting the benefit from all the work that you've done. It doesn't have to be something that you've done extracurricular outside of uni.
Awesome. Thanks, Finbar. Moving on. The next question a student asks is whether doing HackerRank or leak code would be necessary to getting a job.
I wouldn't say it's necessary, but it can help. I mean, it's like any practice of the craft that you're looking for employment in is going to be beneficial. And again, it gives you something to talk about your experiences and what you've learned, as well as practicing, your skills.
Awesome. Thanks, Adam. All right. Question 8. What's the coolest perk about working at your company?
Poker lessons.
Poker lessons?
Yeah, so we like going back to the gaminess, decision making in theory and game theory is really, really important for our company, but it means that everyone gets poker lessons because that's how we teach you, which is great fun.
Awesome. Thanks, Kim. Question 9. What is something overrated about working in industry?
I can answer that from my perspective. I think you end up not really wanting to write code in your free time. You stare at code all day and you finish up and you just want to go and zone out on the couch. So I think people who love writing code, and they do love writing code, will still find that you can get a bit over code.
Wow. Okay. Thanks, Simba. I might ask question 10 and come back to Devan's question next. Question 10. How does a computer science intern student fit in an organization like Cochlear and Arista? I'll guess if one of you guys would like to jump on that.
So I can talk about that from Cochlear's perspective. So at Cochlear, we have the custom software department where we have mobile development, cloud development. It is in itself quite a large department, and we kind of have set it up to feel like a mini software organization. So we're not trying to do software using methodologies that are designed for developing hardware, because they are fundamentally different things. And as a company, I mean, even in the time that I've been at Cochlear, I've seen a massive transformation in the focus on the importance of software within Cochlear. It's a key differentiator for what we do. It's a key part of our sort of 5-year roadmap. And it's something we put a lot of focus on doing right, because it's no longer just about the hardware. And when potential candidates are looking at Cochlear as a potential product that they could use, they care about a lot more than just the hardware.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Amber. I noticed that people are answering Davinish's question in the chat, so I might move on to the next question. Question 12. Are there any myths about working in your company or industry you'd like to bust? Kim, I'd be really keen to hear your take on this one.
Myths that we'd like to can't speak. Myths that we'd like to bust. Yeah, like everyone thinks of trading as you work really long hours, like 70-hour weeks. You have to work at the weekends. They think it's really loud and shouty, like, you know, in the movies, like on the Wolf of Wall Street, or like, what's the other one, Billions? Or there's this new one called The Graduate, or Industry is like a new HBO thing. Like, it's really not like that at all. Like, we have really great work-life balance. Most of the time, we come in around 8 and finish around 5. And that's the same for our technologists, our traders. And it's a really cool place to work. Like, we're competitive with our actual industry competitors, but actually inside SIG it's a really collaborative culture, and I think people are always really surprised to like know that we're not, like, our traders aren't competing against each other.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kim. Question 13. What's the culture like in your company?
Oh, good question. I can take that. At Dolby, when people ask me the culture, I say it's smart engineers, low on ego, who are genuinely passionate about what they do. And let me tell you, having worked in a number of software organizations over the years, smart engineers and low on ego don't always go together.
I think this one is quite a big one. Would anyone else like to take question 13?
Oh, can I add to it? Like,
yeah,
I actually love what Steve had to say. Working with smart people that are low on ego is like really big part of like SIG. We can tell when you're interviewing people that come across as arrogant and they're really like not gonna get a job here at all. Like, but the culture here is so collaborative. Like, we talk about setting us up for success. It doesn't matter whether you're like our head of trading who runs the office or our colleague that sits on the reception. Like, everyone wants to help you succeed regardless of who you are, and it's really cool whether you're an intern or us working in the recruitment team.
Thanks. Awesome. Thank you, Kim. I think those are some really valuable insights that students will take away. Moving on to question 14 and 15. I've just combined them together since I think they're really similar. There's two students, one who's like has a decade of tech experience and they're wondering if internships are suitable for them, and another one who's had about 6 years of aerospace experience and are wondering if graduate roles are suitable for them. What are everyone's thoughts?
I can speak for Arista. Like, we only take in interns in their final year. Basically, you know, that's what we found is most successful. Whereas, you know, if anyone has already graduated, got experience, we'll just, you know, process their application normally. And again, you know, your background doesn't matter as much as long as you can demonstrate your technical ability. Like, can you code and do you work well with the interviewers? So, you know, can you talk about your background and experience? It doesn't have to be directly relevant. It can, again, just be like, you know, how do you approach problem solving, and how do you apply that to execute and deliver?
Yeah, I would add that, similar to Arista, your background as to where you've been working previously doesn't really matter so much. It's more about being able to code or perform well in interviews that set you up for a graduate role.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam and Sam. I guess to follow on from that, a student asked, what specific traits are you guys looking for in those interviews?
Finbar, do you want to take that one?
Well, Lord. Okay, I was just trying to think of an answer to that. I mean, I'm just someone who has, I guess, been looked for, but I don't know what exactly,
The best kind.
how to articulate what is being looked for. I think, though, I guess maybe in terms of answering this as stuff that was, that helped me to get the position that I got, I think that my communication skills were a part of it. So during my internship, sorry, I was working quite closely with US teams. And so that meant that I had to be able to kind of like organize my work so that I could speak to and get answers from people in the US during the overlap in the time zones, and then be able to work independently and do my thing based on that outside of that overlap. And so that really required me to be conscious about how I ask questions and ensuring that I kind of craft a question that will get an answer that will like kind of give me plenty of space to continue working. I don't know. Other than that, I can't think off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, well, things that stand out, right? Like you don't want to bury a lot of detail in your, like pack your CV too heavy. You want to kind of highlight some key points. So, I mean, one thing we look for on the kind of cultural fit and communication side is tutors for the subjects that we're sort of interested in. So, and it doesn't have to be for the subjects that we're interested in, but it shows that you have the ability to explain ideas to others, and hopefully deep technical knowledge of the field that you're tutoring in. That's one. But unfortunately, it does come down to as well, like there are certain subjects that we look for, like because we're largely doing systems development on the software side in Sydney, we do look for things like operating systems, advanced operating systems. But yeah, any kind of excellence in those fields, and WAMs help. You just need something that kind of makes your CV stand out against the field of other CVs. And there's lots of ways to do that. So, play to your strengths, and really carry that across in your cover letter or, in the body of your CV, and try and be concise with that. A one pager is a lot easier to kind of take in than 3 pages of like all the skills that you've collated that might not be relevant. How have you applied those skills in your courses, in your volunteer work, whatever, in your work experience, whatever those are, that's what you want to convey.
Amazing. Thank you, Adam. And just because I noticed that we've hit 5, I might have a final question that if everyone could answer. So question 17, one of the most highly voted ones. Some students were asking, does your company offer job opportunities for international students?
Yes, we do at Dolby.
Yeah, we do at SIG.
Yeah, Arista will take international students for internships if they have a student visa, obviously. And we do consider sponsorship for people wanting to migrate.
Atlassian, I think you need a PR or to be a citizen to work at Atlassian.
There was one other restriction on that. Unfortunately, because we are a sort of security provider, we can't take people from certain countries that are blacklisted with the US, so Iran and similar. But if in doubt, just ask.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much to all of our presenters and sponsor representatives today, as well as to all the students who came and participated in the event and were asking lots of questions. I know that it got a bit much for me in CC2 field at one point. Yes. So to end off this event, thank you all for coming, all the sponsor representatives. It was lovely to have you here and get all your insights into the event, and all the questions that students were asking. For students, hope you got a lot out of this event, and if you feel good about it or bad about it, please fill in the feedback form that's just been sent in chat, and I'll pass off to Cici to end the event.
Yeah, I didn't think there's much to end it with. I think you did a really great job, Rani. I guess from my side, I also wanted to thank the sponsors again. And yeah, I also thank the students for their questions and their upvotes. Other than that, I think we're okay to wrap up.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Cici and Rani.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks all for joining.
All right. Thanks, everyone.